All right, let's talk about leasehold properties and the NDP's announcement, 2,600 affordable homes. If you read the fine print, though, these are going to be leaseholds, 99-year leases. So wanted to get into this. Premier David Eby's latest housing announcement has drawn mixed reactions. In an interview with True North, Vancouver Realtor Jay Coupar raises concerns about the pricing and long-term value of 99-year leasehold homes being billed as a homeownership dream by the BC NDP. Now, there's nothing wrong with leaseholds. It might work for the right buyer, but this is not a solution to the housing crisis for most people, guys. This is a scam. So first of all, taxpayers will subsidize 40% of the home's cost. Of course, this is going to be heavily taxpayer subsidized, with the stipulation that buyers pay back the financing on resale after 25 years of ownership or in the form of a second mortgage. This was done in partnership with the First Nations, whose land the homes will be constructed on. So pretty good deal for the First Nations. Maybe not such a good deal for the taxpayers footing the bill or the end user. Here's the kicker, though. Government has priced one-bedroom units in the development at $850,000. I don't see any value in that. Now, subsidies are going to bring the cost down to $510,000 for qualifying buyers, but that's artificial because that's been heavily subsidized to the taxpayer. 2 bedrooms priced at 1.3, 3 bedrooms 1.5 before subsidies. I argued this is not particularly good value. I said I wouldn't pay those prices. One of the main concerns is the nature of leasehold agreements, which give buyers ownership of the building but not the land it sits on. And remember, in real estate, the dirt is what appreciates. The land remains under First Nations ownership for the 99-year lease period. So again, a pretty good deal for the First Nations. Now, it quotes me as saying, I always steer clients away from leaseholds. I don't. That was a misquote here. I typically do steer clients away from leaseholds, but there are exceptions to the rule. For instance, about 4 years ago, I had a guy, he was a wealthy business guy. His son was going to UBC, and we found him a really nice one-bedroom, worked out well for him, but I did educate him on leaseholds. It's not really an investment. It's not necessarily, you're not going to get the lift in terms of appreciation. But he didn't care about that. This was an investment in his son to go to UBC. And it worked out well for him. That property I now have listed, and this would be a great unit for, again, a student that's going to UBC, or maybe somebody looking to buy a principal residence doesn't really care about the appreciation or the investment potential. They just love the area. And of course, everything around UBC is going to be leasehold. So it can make sense in certain particular instances, but this is being sold as a solution to housing affordability in BC. And if you read the fine print, of course, it's going to be a lease. Securing a mortgage for a leasehold can be more difficult. Larger down payments, usually you're going to need 35% minimum. Not all lenders will finance these. I believe Van City does it. I have a mortgage broker that could probably find a way to secure financing on these, but it's a little more difficult. Some, though, have compared this announcement to Singapore's housing model, and this is where David Eby here got the idea. Some NDP supporters have pointed to Singapore as an example of how affordable housing can be, but Coupar remains unconvinced. So I'm quoted here. I had an interesting comment from an NDP supporter yesterday. These guys, I get these commenters all the time. Most of them lean socialist. They tend to be renters, so they're upset with the current situation because they're priced out. They mentioned Singapore as a model for housing affordability. Now, at that time, I had a client that had just returned from Singapore, and he told me that prices over there are astronomical, far higher than the prices in Vancouver if you're looking to get into a freehold. So they have basically a two-tiered system where the ultra wealthy own freehold and everybody else leases their property. So it's not a silver bullet for housing affordability, guys. Again, educate yourself about leasehold properties. It can make sense in certain instances. I just had a guy inquire this morning, a beautiful 3-bedroom, 3-bathroom, single family detached house on the west side of Vancouver, listed $1.2 million. I mean, to buy that in freehold would be well over $2 million. So pretty good value, assuming that you're not really concerned about the investment potential or the appreciation, because leaseholds do not appreciate at the same rate that freeholds do. And I've got the numbers to prove it. Okay, so just educate yourself about this. Know the difference between a leasehold and a freehold. This is being sold as a solution to BC's housing affordability crisis. And I think if you read the fine print, you've been sold a bill of goods here. Read the fine print here. These are leaseholds. You don't own them. All right. I'm Jay Coupar. Feel free to comment below or subscribe. See you in the next video.